Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel. So, good evening. I wanted to make another episode just because I have kind of was MIA, and I just came across a message that resonated with me and possibly could resonate with other people. So I'm gonna read what I saw. And a lot of my things, I realize that they come from Twitter, but it's just like Twitter. Sometimes you will find some funny things and you find some real deep things too. And maybe it's the people that I follow, but I like some of the things. They seem to just resonate. So the message is, the higher you ascend, the lonelier it gets. No one ever talks about that. And then someone replied, I've heard others say once you pass a certain level, the competition becomes slim because most people don't last long enough to get that high up. You're doing it. It'll be okay. And someone else said, only if you maintain all your previous connections and only your old connections. Different story when you build new networks at each level. So I definitely liked all three of the messages here, and I want to talk about it because I personally feel like definitely I've experienced that and currently am experiencing that. The higher I ascend, and it definitely can get lonely because you discover so many new things and you reach a new level on your own, and then you feel like you want to share it with other people, whether that be friends or family or those close to you, but you start to realize that like they're not there and they might not ever get there, and you have to be okay with that and still continue on your personal journey and continue to reach your higher self and improve your higher self. But it definitely can get lonely because you feel that you feel like you're the same person, but you just gain some new knowledge or new perspective on things, or you're just changing the way that you handle life, but you do kind of gain some new energy about yourself that others might recognize, and they're not used to seeing you in that light, so they can either absorb it or they can kind of reject it. And sometimes it's not even on purpose. It could just be subconsciously they just reject it because they don't understand. And it's that fact that they would have to basically relearn who you are in a new light, and that can be hard for people. So, the part where it says, I've heard others say once you pass a certain level, the competition becomes slim because most people don't last long enough to get that high up. I definitely agree with that because it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of self-healing. It takes a lot of shadow work. It takes a lot of accountability and reparenting of yourself and learning new ideas and ways to live and how to treat people and how to handle things, and that can be a lot. Plus being an adult and having everyday things like bills, kids, or whatever, relationships and stuff. So it's a lot. But it really is for only those who are, dedicated and committed to the growth of themselves and their higher selves and reaching their higher selves. Because some people don't continue on because it is too much, and it is a lot of unpacking, it is a lot of self-reflection, it's a lot of alone time that is necessary to deal with the things that you have hidden for so long. And sometimes it's not even on purpose that you hide it, like the brain itself will, try to make you forget traumatic experiences from childhood. But at the same time, those traumatic experiences from childhood shape the way that you live your everyday life as an adult, whether that be your relationships, platonic or romantic, how you deal with authority, how you, are you organized? Are you like messy all over the place? Are you able to make decisions for yourself? Things like that. And it's just basically how you think and how you operate in life. And when you do tap in to reach your higher self, then you do have to realize that some of the things that you are used to doing are not exactly going to serve you for your higher self. And then you have to relearn things. And when you relearn and you start to change the way that you think about things or the way you operate in life, naturally, so you're going to lose people along the way, just because they're still, like I said, they might still be holding on to the old ways, or they're not ready to go to the unknown of becoming their higher selves, or they're not knowledgeable enough of it, or whatever the issue was for them. And that can be the hard part of, like it's different, like cutting off one or two people when you realize that, like, dag, like, you can't go with me either, or like it's easy to sometimes, I think, that as humans to become stagnant in our growth. And that's another hard thing, is like when you have someone in your life, any type of relation, where you can see that they're stagnant and they're comfortable in, I don't want to say always dysfunction, but just where they are, and they're not willing to leave that and to go into the unknown. And that means that you have to leave them behind to continue your growth. And that's the part where it can get lonely, because it's like you really do have to end up eliminating so many people to the point where you are on your own. And you, like I said, you want to share things with others, but they're not even going to be able to grasp it and understand what you're talking about. So you do have to become more in tune with yourself and more alone, and just becoming more of your own best friend, and learning how to hang with yourself and, make yourself happy. Because if you think about it, a lot of times growing up, you learn to like be social and always have friends and hang with. You're never really taught to like learn how to be by yourself and enjoy your own time. So I feel like when you choose to make that journey to learn more about yourself and to deal with your trauma and to become the better version, the higher version of yourself, then it's only natural to become lonely, because you need to like deal with everything. And it takes time. And, I like the other part when it said, she said about it being lonely, and then the person said, only if you maintain all your previous connections and only your old connections. Different story when you build new networks at each level. So sort of like I was saying, like you do have to get rid of old connections, not necessarily always because they're a bad person. It's not about being a bad person. It's just like you're not where I am, and you're not trying to get there, which is okay, because everybody has their own time and their own journey to make. So sorry. And that's okay, but it's just like realizing that sometimes people can't go with you. Everybody can't go to the top with you, like as you the higher you go up on the elevator, the more people have to get off, because they themselves haven't done their own self-work to be able to survive on the higher levels. You know what I mean? Like that alone is something to think about. Like you might want, these people to come along with you, but they're not ready to be there with you. And if they go with you, they might not make it. You know what I mean? So that is something to think about too. Like that's about packing light and like releasing and loving people. Sometimes you have to love them from afar, because they need to learn their lessons on their own, or they're just not, like I said, they're not ready to be their higher selves, or come in contact with their higher selves, or make that effort to learn, who they are, so at a higher level. And that's something that you have to just be okay with. And you have to wish them the best and just continue on yourself, because at the end of the day, you have to worry about yourself and your journey. And if you have been doing the work and reaching a higher version of yourself, then you have to be so proud of yourself for making so much an effort and stepping outside of your comfort zone and stepping into the unknown. That why would you turn back now? So I think I know a couple episodes before I did like an episode called Pack Light, and it's definitely a relation to the Erykah Badu song, Bag Lady. And I remember like being younger, not really understanding. I liked the song, but you kind of didn't know what she was talking about. But as you get older, and definitely I understand her music way more now, and I loved her music regardless, but it's even more relatable now as an adult. And then that song is just like basically about packing light and how you can't hold on to past hurt and past trauma and things like that have happened to you, and learning how to forgive people, not necessarily for them but for yourself. Because when you are trying to reach your higher self, you can't bring the old pain with you, and the old trauma and the old things that have happened to you that have definitely played a role in structuring who you are, and you can appreciate them, but it's not going to do you any good carrying it. You can't carry all that, like your higher self, if you envision it, is like such a lighter version of yourself, and you're floating, so or you're just reaching a higher entity, so you can't, there's just no way for you to be able to carry that baggage, and just letting it go and making sure you keep the lessons with it, and you just wish them well, and you go on your way. And I feel like that song comes to light, or come to mind as well with this tweet that I'm talking about, because just how it can get lonely, but you have to keep doing the work to reach your higher self. And the more work you do, the more enlightened you become, the more knowledge you have, and then the way you handle things in life is just in a different level, and is easier for you, and you can let things just roll off, and you don't have to resort to using the same old habits of how you handled certain traumas or certain situations in life. You will handle things in a different way, and even that can make the people who, like I said, are used to you, whether they be family, friends, whoever, they might not recognize the way that you're handling things, and they might not be comfortable with it, and might not be able to relate with you. And again, it's like you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with reaching your higher self, and realizing that sometimes that just means just being by yourself until you meet people that are on your level. And it's important, like I said, to keep going and reaching the higher levels of the elevator of your life, and not letting anybody make you feel guilty for it, or make you feel like you have, it's okay to explain what's going on, but if someone doesn't want to understand it, or they're not trying to meet you there, then you have to keep doing what you're doing for you. And so if anyone is feeling like you've been putting in the work to heal and become a better person, and you have been doing shadow work or therapy or whatever it is that's going to help, meditating and helping yourself reach your higher self, and you feel like, man, like the more and more I do this, the more out of touch I seem with those who I used to be so close with. Don't think that something is wrong with you or something is wrong with them. It's just that's how it goes, when you are reaching a higher version of yourself, that sometimes you have to let people be where they are, because you don't want to be stagnant in your growth just because someone isn't ready yet, because some people are never going to be ready. Some people are never going to take that step or want to tap into their trauma or try to heal themselves. They're comfortable being, unhealed and dealing with certain traumas, or, avoiding certain feelings because they don't want to deal with what that will do to them, and or talking about certain things that have happened in their life and how that will play out for them. And you don't have to judge them for it. You just have to, like I said, be like, okay, well, you wish them well, and you still have to do what works for you. And that's okay as well. And, again, you don't have to not interact with them, but I feel like in my experience, the interactions have gotten less and less because, it's just, you're just not there on that same level, and you're not in that same mindset anymore. And certain things that you related to with that person no longer are there, and you've grown. And it's a great thing to grow, because as adults, as people, as humans, we should always be growing. I shouldn't be the same person that I was a year ago. Maybe not a completely different person, but I should have learned things that have changed the way that I think, the way that I do things. And you should have a desire to want to learn more and change yourself positively and make positive changes in your life that just gonna push you to be your higher self, and higher self doesn't even have to always be spiritually. It can be also just, just becoming a better version of yourself, whether that be more, financially stable or emotionally stable, or, you're in better shape, or you eat healthier, or not force yourself, but work harder to get a better job, or whatever it is, whatever your goals are. Just reaching to make sure that you become a better version of yourself. You should never be stagnant. Even if you do become everything you thought you dreamed of, you could still want to become more or do more for yourself. There's always something more that you can do for yourself to become a better version of yourself. Because basically I believe that until we die, then there's always, if you're not dead, then there's something more that you need to be doing, and there's more purpose for you in your life that you haven't accomplished yet. So you have to just keep going and keep trying to figure that out, and serve in the process of that, serving others too. Don't forget to serve others and your purpose, and whatever that may be. So I just wanted people to feel like, to learn something, or if you are going through that, like where you feel like you are becoming alone, and maybe certain things that you used to do and or you used to relate to with people, you no longer can do, and you shouldn't have to feel guilty about that. It doesn't mean that you're better than them, or it doesn't mean that they're less than you, or vice versa. It's just you're on different pages, and that's okay too. And it doesn't mean that you have to cut them out completely. Now, if it's a situation where you're just not able to see eye to eye, and you're not being where you are, is not being respected, or whatever the case may be, then sometimes you do, require to move on in different pace, because sometimes elevation requires separation, and that could be temporary or permanent, and you have to be okay with that, because you can't, like I said, you can't let anybody hold you back and potentially pause your growth as a person just because they're not comfortable with it, or they don't approve of it, or they don't understand, or whatever their problem is. It's their problem. It's not yours. As long as you're being respectful of others and in your journey, then if you're willing to teach or share your experiences and thoughts and stuff like that, and someone's just not receptive of it, there's nothing you can do about that. Like I said, all you can do is just wish them well and go on about your journey, because you are taking a very big step that will bring you so much reward, so much spiritual reward, so much just rewards in general in your life, and it takes time to see and to understand, but once you start, like I said, you don't want to go back. So I guess my main message is just allow yourself to grow and to step out of your comfort zone in whatever aspect that may be. And I know it's hard to, not take offense when the people that you may have grown up with or that you love a lot or whatever the relation is, they're not treating you the same way that they used to, or, things don't seem the same because of the differences amongst you. But you have to learn to not take it. They're not necessarily doing it on purpose. It's just you're on different levels, they're on a different place than you are. And sometimes that's hard, especially if you've always been in the same place with them. And then now you have to move on, or, even it could be short relationships where you met someone a year ago and then within that year you've grown and you see that this person hasn't grown. It's kind of sad to witness, but it's not your problem, because we as adults, you have to want to grow too. Some people like to stay in that victim mindset or stay in that same mindset of thinking that they always know everything. And that can really stunt your growth as well. Because like I said, there's nobody on this earth who knows everything, because if you knew everything, you wouldn't be here. You would have passed all the tests and you would have moved on. Your life would have already moved on. You would be into the next level, whatever that may be. At least that's my opinion. Is that, there are certain things that you have to do here on earth, and once you've done everything, once you've learned everything and had the full human experience, then you do move on. And some people learn it faster than others, and some people accomplish their mission faster than others, and that's fine too. And just, stay in tune with who you are, and always appreciating who you are and where you are in your life, and on your journey. Don't feel like you have to compare and contrast to other people, and don't feel like you have to be understood by other people, because there's always going to be people who don't understand you, and that could be on purpose too. So, just kind of wanted to tap in, because I feel like that's how I've been feeling too. As you get, as you ascend higher, certain people just don't treat you the same, and they don't interact with you the same, or try to have to maintain certain types of the dynamics of certain relationships with you, because at the same time you have to remember, sometimes when people are running from their own things, then it's easier for them to stay away from someone who's going to highlight things about them that they're not ready to tap into either. So, like I said, you have to just wish them the best and still be available if they need it, but you always have to look out for you as well. So I don't know, I hope that resonated with somebody, but my goal is to say, just keep going, keep learning about yourself and doing better for yourself and for those around you, and just be patient with yourself and allow yourself to grow, allow yourself to step out of your comfort zone, allow yourself to explore things about yourself and those around you, or things around you that you would have never known before if you hadn't taken a chance. So just step outside your comfort zone, allow the universe to guide you to wherever it wants you to be, because it's more than likely going to be better than you ever imagined. So, trust in yourself, trust in God, trust in the universe, and enjoy the ride, and allow yourself to reach your higher version of yourself. So hope you guys have a great week, and that's it. I'm your host, Chanel, and this is Black Hippie Lounge, and as usual, meditate, manifest, invest in you.